Christ is in our midst. This is
Is and
Timothy
he will be.
Flanders. Once again with reader Maxim Grigorev. How you doing, my
Nice
brother?
to meet you once again. Nice to see you and nice to have this opportunity.
It is the continuation of Russian elements of Fatima. Today's episode, the September apparition. Today's episode, we're going to talk about all the different Russian elements of that. Uh, we've covered all the other apparitions and all the liturgical providence that connects each apparition date to Russian Orthodox feast days, which have significance for the entire message of the apparition. I've been especially edified by looking at the providence of God, where God introduced the rosary to Russia via private revelation to one of the greatest Russian saints, Saint Seraph, and that rosary is a very much a melding of the Dominican rosary of the Latins and the Chaplet of the Seven Sorrows of the Latins, and puts them together into one distinctly Russian rosary. So it's just an amazing putting together of God's providence. So today is the apparition September 13, which coincides with the Russian Orthodox feast day of the placing of the cincture of the Most Holy Theotokos. So let me pull up your presentation here. So, reader Maxim, can you tell us about this feast day, the placing of the cincture?
Yes, of course. This particular feast, which is counted among minor feasts, is connected, is actually one part of the great ensemble, the great core, the great choir of feasts connected to the Assumption of our Blessed Mother, to the Dormition of our Blessed Mother. According to the tradition, when our Blessed Mother had to pass away into heaven, and all the apostles, all the 12 apostles were gathered together, including St. Paul, gathered together mystically, miraculously, in order to see her off and get this blessing. And when she fell asleep, as we say in the East, of course, just like in the case of our blessed Lord's resurrection, Saint Thomas, the apostle, came a little bit early, a little bit. What is the opposite of earlier?
Late, a little late.
Late. I'm sorry. Yes, English fails me very much. Yeah, a little bit late. And when he came and saw the choir of the apostles standing together without our Blessed Mother, so I missed everything. Where is she? And they showed the tomb, and the tomb was empty. And because our Blessed Mother had been taken to the paradise already, together with her body. And this is a very special tradition in the East, which connects the Eastern tradition, the Eastern way of venerating our mother, and the way she, quote unquote, died or passed um, to the other existence, and the Latin tradition, and actually the Catholic dogma of taking of our mother, of the Assumption, and taking our mother, both soul and body, to the heaven. And of course, going back to the story, when Saint Thomas the Apostle cried that how could he have missed it? How could he do this? Our Lady appeared to him in person, like from the heavens, and gave him her belt, the belt that is believed to have been uh, knit, to have been created, crafted by Our Lady herself from the fur of a camel. And this part of the tradition is very telling, because uh, it underlines once again that we in the East do believe that Our Lady is in heaven, both soul and body, because a spirit or if you say so, a ghost, cannot give a real belt, and the tomb is empty, and our mother gives her piece of clothing to Saint Thomas. It is very much parallel to the episode with the same Saint Thomas after the resurrection of our blessed Lord, where he put his fingers into the wounds of Jesus, which was to prove that Jesus is no ghost, but a real resurrected in body Jesus Christ. So, and it happens. It happens so that September the 13th, the new style, the Gregorian calendar, is pretty much the day, or the August the 31st, the same day, um, when the fifth apparition of our Blessed Mother in Fatima happened, and when all Russians, and actually all the Orthodox people, all the Eastern Catholic of the Byzantine Rite people venerated and celebrated this particular feast. This belt is believed to have been, so this particular
Relic.
relic, no, this particular feast day is dedicated not to the very event of giving the belt to Saint Thomas, but to the transition of this relic from the Middle East, from because there are various options where it might have been before taking to Constantinople, but more or less from Jerusalem to Constantinople, to the capital of the Eastern Empire, where a couple of great, miraculous, wonder-working events appeared during the history, so that the local population, or the population of the city, the emperors, for example, the wife of Emperor Leo VI of the 10th century, got miraculously healed from her illnesses with the help of this relic, by the grace of God given through Our Lady through this relic. And here in Russia, when a relic which is, well, believed to be at least part of this original belt, or just like a third, maybe class relic in the Latin I don't know,
Latin
system.
classification. Yeah.
Yes, classification, right? Either second or third, depending of how skeptical you happen to be. Or it is believed either to be the original one or the one that is very much connected to the original one. So in Russia, it is venerated so much that just a couple of years ago, when this relic was traveling through the country, I guess that tens of thousands and hundreds of thousands of people who, even those not particularly practicing in their normal life, well, the habitual life, would come and would pray to Our Lady, asking for her help. And although some people say that it is kind of paganism or something like that, we don't share this Protestant nonsense. We do appreciate, even when non-practicing Orthodox and Catholic believers, the baptized, come to their mother. This is very great, and this is very relevant, just as it was September 13th, 1917, when the fifth apparition happened, and both Orthodox and Eastern Catholics throughout the former Russian Empire celebrated this feast. We have to say a little bit, a couple of words of what happened before the two apparitions, the previous one and this one. And it was at the beginning of August the 8th, when the provisional government, so the government that uh, was just after the um,
Yeah, the
just
abdication of the Tsar back in February.
abdication of the Tsar Nicholas II, and before the Bolsheviks take over, recognized publicly, officially recognized the Russian Catholic Church of the Byzantine Rite, and even promised Fedorov, Blessed Exarch Fedorov, the head of this structure, a salary and a place for gatherings, something that was quite unimaginable for most of the history of the Russian Empire after Tsar Nicholas I, after the beginning of the 19th century, especially when it was strictly prohibited to leave the official church, the Orthodox Church, for even a tolerable confession like Catholicism. That was a felony. And then Tsar Nicholas, quite very little time before his abdication, permitted religious freedom, and then very soon abdicated, and the provisional government did a step further to make Russian Catholic Church totally acceptable. And that was the period, that was the start of the very short period of flourishing of the Russian Catholic Church here in the main cities of Russia, like where thousands of people would gather together in their celebrations, in holy liturgies, and coming more and more. We should talk about this maybe next time, but that was a period of freedom and growth of our church the, after the end of the closeted state, if I may say so.
Yeah, and
Um,
this is just miraculous. This is just happening at the same time because
yeah,
the Russian Catholics of the Byzantine Rite, after the religious freedom happened, many Russian Orthodox went back to Catholicism because they had been Russified and whatnot, like Ukrainians and whatnot. But they were, or Poles rather, they were Latins, which was tolerated by the Tsar as this foreign confession. But the thing that was not tolerated was the Catholics of the Byzantine Rite. And so the Catholics of the Byzantine Rite had been trying for years at this point to try to get official recognition. But it wasn't until this happened, which was happening at the same time as Fatima was happening, that this actually happens. And this kind of is a foreshadowing of what will happen after the Soviets are conquered in the 90s. So we have this is restored, this sort of foreshadowing is restored after that time. Um,
maybe I shall add a little comment about the relations between the Latins and the Easterners, the Latin Russian Catholics, or the Poles and the Lithuanians, and the Germans who lived and were in Russia and were subject to the Russian crown and to the Russian government, and actual Russian Catholics, ethnically and culturally Russian both. In St. Petersburg, I studied the archives and saw that in many cases, when there have always been mixed marriages between Catholics and Orthodox people, and before this official recognition, it was very t tough for a couple when they came together, because it was presupposed that um, so the not Orthodox party should somehow be not forced, but very strongly suggested to join the Russian Orthodox Church, and sometimes otherwise, but in some special circumstances. But when the religious freedom finally prevailed in Russia, this trouble, this family tragedy, uh, kind of found its way out, because many times Russian women, so I saw the list of the parishioners of our parish here in St. Petersburg. And many times you see Roman Catholic husbands and Orthodox, Russian Orthodox women, judging by the names and the surnames and the patronyms, coming together in this, let us say, compromise when they joined the Russian Catholic Church of the Byzantine Rite, so that the Catholic husband can continue being a Catholic, but joining the majority Russian ecclesiastical culture or modus, while the women became Catholic while preserving what they truly believed to be their vera, to be their faith, or it is rather hard to translate it into English. What vera, literally faith, is to a Russian mind, a set of visual and audio expressions of this godly worship, which is very important for a Russian soul. So our church played a crucial role in this process in our society.
Now, going back to the placing of the cincture, is
Yeah.
this the same relic used in the protection of the Theotokos? Is that, I know it's in the
No,
Blackernay Church. It's not the same.
it is debatable actually.
Okay.
So there are different traditions quarreling and competing with each
Okay.
other.
So that at least there is some connection because this is the relic of the Theotokos, which is placed in the Blackernay
Yes,
Church,
right.
because they do take out a relic of the Theotokos
Yes,
from
right.
Blackernay for Pokrov, the protection, and that's
Yes, they
and
use it,
that's that's
of
the
course.
feast day that corresponds with the miracle of the sun, which we'll talk about in the next podcast. Um, so there is this connection which connects it all back to this the common theme of all these providential correspondences is light, and the light of God, the light which is God, as Sister Lucia said, and Mary reflecting the light and her relics and all these connections. So, would you like to go to the next slide here?
And also,
Go ahead.
once again, the connection to the so-called Latin dogma of taking Our Lady to heaven and the coronation. So something that sometimes is said to be not Eastern, but this feast reminds us that we come out of the same root. And while we can quarrel and dispute whether she died and resurrected or just fell asleep in some particular manner, it doesn't matter in terms of the dogmatic skeleton, dogmatic structure, which unites us rather than